When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite. Obey your thirst.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. You're ready to move your business forward, but first you need to find the right team. Start your search with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It can help you reach qualified candidates fast, ensuring your listing is the first one they see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. See the results for yourself. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
The Freddy Fazbear box just dropped at Popeyes for $7.99, and it's scary good. Garlic palm tenders and cheesy bites with marinara sauce. Upgrade to the deluxe box for $12.99 and get a 20-ounce drink in a cupcake cup. Dig in
before it's too late.
Try the Freddy Fazbear Crunch menu, now at Popeyes. See Five Nights at Freddy's 2, only in theaters. Love that chicken from Popeyes. Limited time at participating U.S. restaurants. Prices may vary.
The guest in this fifth and final episode of our special season with GB Snowsport is used to defying the odds. The former paratrooper swapped rowing for Nordic skiing to become the first British Paralympian in 20 years to compete in the sport in Pyeongchang in 2018.
He went on to finish 6th in the long-distance biathlon in the Beijing Paralympics in 2022, before funding was cut from UK sport.
But he carried on cross-country skiing and shooting in the biathlon, the two disciplines that make up para-Nordic skiing, to win Britain's first ever World Championships medal, a silver in 2023, and another World Cup medal this year. I'm Michael.
And I'm John.
My name's Scott Meenagh. I'm from a town called Cumbernauld in Scotland, and I'm a para-Nordic skier.
This is a special episode of the podcast with GB Snowsport, and this is his snow story ahead of the Milano Cortina Winter Paralympics 2026.
Well, first of all, Scott, tell us where you are, how you are, and what you're up to right now.
Okay, I'm actually out on the west coast of Canada at the moment. We've arrived here a couple of weeks early before the first World Cup of the season. A little bit of training, preparation, getting ready to kick the season off. But it's the first event of the season where every man and their dog's turned up, because obviously it's the Paralympic season. So it's a chance to see how everybody's summer's been. So yeah, it's really good. It's great to be back in the Nordic circle, having all the nations arrive. That buzz is unbelievable. So yeah, it's really nice, and feeling in good nick at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to ask how you're feeling. What sort of shape are you in? The summer that you've had and now going into this important year.
Yeah, it's been massive. The last few years for me have been, a couple of other bits and bobs going on. I've started the cycle with no children, and I've now got two. I graduated in July there, so I've got a lot of moving parts in my life, but especially after getting done with my studies in the summer, I've been able to really knuckle down in this last run into the games. So yeah, I've had a really solid summer, some really good weeks stacked on top of each other. I think consistency's been the real goal, and actually, for somebody who's getting to the kind of twilight end of their sporting career, I'm starting to see new numbers that I hadn't seen before. So we're doing something right, and yeah, feeling really good for the season starting.
Scott, I was going to ask about graduating from Stirling University. I think you were studying history for a number of years. Did it help in your sporting endeavour that you had something maybe else to think about as well?
Honestly, I couldn't recommend it more. When I first chose to kind of embark on an academic journey alongside my sporting career, I think the team thought I'd lost my mind. They were giving me they thought they were going to lose me. They thought my career was over. My competitors thought they were going to get a one-up over me because I'd have no time. But actually what I found is sport can be so all-consuming, and it can be absolutely everything. And a lot of athletes really base their value as like a person on their quality of performance, their training that day, and it can be a little bit of a roller coaster ride if you don't have something else that has you almost like having some sort of concurrent value in your life. So studying was really good. The university were brilliant at enabling me as an athlete to continue to train as well as study. But I think the great example for me would be like, I could have the best race of my life and I could be riding on a cloud, but like 2 hours after racing, I'd be logging into like a lecture about Mary Queen of Scots, and I'd be getting pelters for doing the wrong reading and getting things wrong, and it's a great way to bring you straight back down to earth. But equally, if sport's not going entirely well, if you've had a bit of a stumble, and then you've got something you can just put all your energy into and can be constantly moving forward. And I think also the most important bit as well is like sport, as I've found out in my career, is quite finite. It can end very quickly for no kind of apparent rhyme or reason. It could be an injury. I think it's really important for athletes to have some sort of parallel value in their life, so that when inevitably their sports journey comes to an end, they're not feeling like they're just falling off a cliff, and they've got value and connection and community somewhere else.
Because I think you've said that this Paralympics with Bernardo Cortina coming up is probably going to be your number 3, but probably your last one as well.
Yeah, I think so. This has been an incredible journey. Started as an idea in a coffee shop in 2014 in Sochi. And we've built an unbelievable programme. We've chased away any of the doubters who thought it was a bit of an Eddie the Eagle idea, and that we were kind of chasing a bit of a lost cause. And yeah, I think I've been so privileged to be part of the kind of birth and the growth of such an amazing programme. I've achieved a lot of things that I'd hoped to achieve in my sporting career. Obviously, there's one Paralympic medal-shaped hole there that I'd like to achieve. But also I've just had such a fulfilling journey. My kids are getting a bit older now, 2 and 4, and I'm looking forward to just a bit of time and being dad, putting them first and being around a lot more.
You talk about the journey. I mean, it's not been without challenges, of course. No sporting career is without challenges, but significant ones, certainly around funding for you and losing the team aspect.
Yeah, massively. When we started this journey, it was a little bit of an experiment. I'd come from another kind of summer programme in the UK, and when we embarked on this, we had almost like a blank slate on like how to build a world-class programme. No one had done it before, and that was quite daunting, but also really exciting. And one of the things we tried to hold on to was our kind of human behaviours and our values, and like putting like good people make good athletes rather than, trying to squeeze life into sport. Like if you've got the good human values dialed in, you can build anything on top of it. The team experienced rapid growth through 2019 into the 2022 cycle. And all of a sudden we had this fully functioning, well-oiled, well-supported machine. And we had a great team that we took into Beijing. We done something very incredible out there, especially against the odds during the pandemic and everything we were facing. So, and yeah, it was tough to take when we had wholesale funding loss not long after the games. We had it all taken away from us, and I think it's easy to feel a bit let down, a little bit betrayed, and felt like the carpet had been swept from under us just as we were getting going. For me, I had to just readjust my motivations, what drove me. Because I think everything leading up to that moment had been about blazing a trail and making the road for others behind me easier than the road that I followed myself. I felt like I was like cutting my way through the jungle, but laying a nice tarmac road for others behind me. Then it became a little bit more of an individual journey. What really got us through that was the genuine kind of human connections we'd made right back at the start. And when we witnessed the wholesale change, and I was left myself, and there was 2 coaches who we'd managed to keep around. So yeah, we were down to like a skeleton crew, but then we took that skeleton crew to a World Championships and made history. That was incredible, but it's a great chance to highlight the Nordic community, because we pull together, we lean on each other. At the moment, our setup, because we won't have the accreditations to take any wax tests or ski testers to Milan, we actually have a partnership with the French team. So like we share resources, even though we've got competitors in the same field. Something really special about that. Nations who are direct competitors going on training camps together, having genuine friendships, sharing resources, and yes, I think it says a lot about how special the sport is.
And that's something that's come out in this series with GB Snowsport about the ski and snowboard athletes, both in Olympic disciplines and Paralympic disciplines, is how much you guys, even though you're competitors on the start line, look out for each other and are happy for each other when they succeed. But when it does come to competition, there's that will still to win. And want to beat the French at the Olympics and the Paralympics?
Oh, massively. We take what we do incredibly seriously. I'm on the start line with some of the most ferocious athletes on planet Earth, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. But I think because of what we do, where we do it, some of the environments we have to do it in, we're taking part in one of the hardest, physically the hardest sports in the world. We're doing it in some mad environments in far-flung corners of the earth. I think there's just a bit of a mutual appreciation of what everyone's had to kind of get through just to get onto the start line. Especially in the Paralympic world, people have had to overcome some unbelievable odds just to be on the start line. Never mind being world class at what they do. So yeah, it's quite an exceptional sport.
And you had an exceptional couple of years, as you alluded to there slightly, but you give us a few more details. You became the first ever British athlete to win a Para-Nordic World Championship medal.
Yeah, no, it was something I'm incredibly proud of. We started off, as I said, as an idea in a coffee shop, but then it was, we don't just want to turn up and make up the numbers. We're not chasing free tracksuits. We want to drive a path to the top. And as the years went on, our goals started to shift from a competitive performance at the Paralympic Games to getting into the top third of the field. We then focus a lot on being the strongest non-traditional snow nation. So, for example, you've got your kind of Canadas, your USA, Ukraine, Russia, all the kind of Norways, and then if we can be Great Britain, just punching in amongst them, that was success. And then I started to break into the top 10, the top 6 on some occasion, and realised that biathlon was a field that we had a really good chance of doing well in. And yeah, I knew that at the stage, and probably in 2023, when we went to the World Championships, I used to say I need to be perfect on a day where everyone else just maybe is a little bit off the boil. And I'll be quite honest, I think the day in Östersund, I had an outstanding performance, but it was also that perfect day where I was the only athlete in the field to hit every single target and everyone else missed at least one. And it gave me that chance to step onto the podium. What I'm really proud to say is and what I'd like to think now is I've built on that performance, and I'm now in the realms of I'm expecting to be in the mix every time. I no longer need to be perfect and rely on others to maybe not have the race of their life. We've worked really hard on being in the mix and being right up there. So yeah, something I'm very, very proud of. And as the kind of trailblazer, as the athlete who was here right at the very start, I didn't just want to be the first. I wanted to leave a really, really high bar for every British athlete following to aspire to. I wanted us to not just be this also-ran nation. I want to be world class at what we do and aim really high. And I think we've done that.
I think I'm right in saying as well that you won a World Cup bronze in March this year as well. So right at the start, Scott, you said everyone's gathering for the first World Cup for this season because it's Paralympic year, and everyone's looking around seeing what people are doing. People are going to be looking at you now, aren't they?
That's the great thing about it is I've been telling myself all season, I've got high expectations for the season, I've got high expectations for the Paralympic Games, and I've been telling myself all year, this pressure's earned. It's a great thing to turn up to, and actually to have almost the fairy tale end to the season for me last year. I came in on the very last day of the season, World Cup podium, but also that podium also knocked me up into the top 3 in the World Cup rankings. So I'd actually shown myself to be one of the most competitive athletes on the field throughout the whole season. And now I think what I need to really work on is just those one-off strikes where I'm maybe not just sitting in that top 4, top 6. I need to be breaking in and hitting that podium more often. And hopefully, aiming to attack the World Cup circuit as hard as I can as well. And it'd be really nice to get on a podium before the Paralympic Games, but the view very much is to attack a Paralympic podium. So the feat is ginormous if you can be amongst it.
Obviously, selection is taking place at the moment across all the different sports and disciplines for the Winter Paralympics. You are hoping, obviously, to head to your third in good shape. What does it mean that these games are in a good time zone, if you like, for people at home, friends, family? They can come and support you because with the best will in the world, South Korea, China, obviously very difficult with it being a COVID games as well, but to have it just a hop away in Italy.
Oh, massively. It to have a games in Milan it feels as close to home games as we're ever going to get. It's so close, and I think just to witness a Winter Paralympic Games in a country that has a genuine winter interest and winter culture. That the games in Korea were fantastic, but they were in the middle of nowhere, and they were not supported. They weren't taking place in areas that were in any way populated. And China, it was a strange old experience. It was like, I think going to the moon would have felt more at home, but to have the games in this 200-year-old mountain village in the Dolomites that have got these existing facilities, this winter culture. I went there for the test event. I watched the Marcialonga ski race where there's 40,000 people lining a track coming through the centre of this little town, and it's like the London Marathon finishes in this little town. And there's hundreds of years of ski traditions, and so yeah, it's amazing. And as you say, your friends and family can hop on a plane, they can be there, and if they can't make it, they can switch on the telly at a reasonable hour and actually be able to connect with what you do. Because for as much as I've done this sport for such a long time, I'm always quite surprised at how disconnected a lot of people, even some people who are very close to me in my life, are from what I actually do. Because their opportunity to see it up close or to see it on TV or whatever is few and far between. So yeah, it'd be great to do, and I hope a lot of people make the effort to come out.
And as I said, you've done it twice, 2018, 2022. What would it mean to you to be on the start line representing your country, representing Paralympics GB for a third time?
Oh, it'd be incredible. I think it would just be such a special way to round off what has been an amazing journey. What has been such a roller coaster ride, but in every way it's also been such a fairy tale. And the dream, we used to talk about dare to dream when we were trying to get this programme off the ground. And for me, the dream is not done. I want to be on that start line. I want to represent my country. I want to, one of the motivations for me is my young girl. She's probably going to be at an age where she'll probably remember this. And I think if I can turn up on that start line and show the very, very best version of myself to her, that'd be really special. Just
give the family a shout out. You mentioned obviously your children a couple of times. Who are they? Where are they? And how much they love supporting their dad?
Oh, massively. So my wife Maddie, luckily she's a physiotherapist who also works in sport, and she's incredibly supportive. And yeah, I've got two young kids. I've got James, who's almost 2, and Bryn, who's 4. And yeah, they're incredible. And my biggest fans. So they'll be coming out to join me just before Christmas out in Canada. We'll be spending Christmas here, and we're very much looking forward to doing a bit of cross-country skiing together. And they'll be in Milan, absolutely, on the front row.
Fantastic. It's going to be amazing. I think you were at the test event earlier this year for the Winter Paralympics. How did that go? And no concerns?
Yeah, it was great. I think I had one of the best test events in terms of my results last season. I had some cracking results, which it's given me a lot of confidence. The course out there is really physically demanding, which, as an athlete in my classification, but to be honest with you, as an athlete with my psyche, I think for me, I do really well on the courses that are pretty grim. I like to lean in and get the hard work done. So the hillier, the better. The course in Milan at the moment is lending itself to that type of athlete and that type of race. I also learned one of the biggest lessons as well, that I had a great result, which qualified me in second place in Milan. Basically, it's a sprint pursuit format. So in the morning you do a qualifier, and then you start the pursuit in the afternoon in the position where you finished the heat. And I'd never finished anywhere near the top of this field in the qualifier. I'd always been in the backpack chasing all these fast guys down, and all of a sudden I was finished in the 2 spot, and I was the one that was going off. I was the hare that was getting chased, and I went off the blocks, and I spent half the race looking over my shoulder at this herd of other athletes just bearing down on me. And needless to say, my bottle crashed. I had a really poor final that day. I went from second out to 8th. As much as I was devastated on the day, it was probably the biggest lesson, a great lesson to learn, because it was the first time I'd been under that kind of pressure. I was being the one being chased. I think having that off my chest and having the opportunity to learn from it was really helpful at the test event.
You've talked a lot about legacy, your legacy, the sport's legacy. What do you hope after these games the Nordic skiing legacy is for GB Snowsport and that you leave?
I would like to see the sport continue. I think that we've blazed a path that's too hard to ignore. The sport, the opportunities we've opened up to people in the United Kingdom, the training modality we've opened up. I could actually make a very strong argument for Nordic being the most accessible winter sport for anyone in the UK, because ironically it's the only winter sport you don't need snow to be able to actually train for. So we've done unbelievable work to grow the sport in the United Kingdom. What we've been able to do is really cultivate that youth, that growth, that development of the sport at every level. It's not just a Paralympic programme that's trying to cherry pick talent to go to the Paralympic Games. We're offering this sport for people in any walk of life, whether it's a lifestyle, whether it's going to be a competitive path. Sport has the ability to change people's lives. It's changed mine. And if we can help people along a path and sport becomes a vehicle to their recovery, then so be it. And from that, I'm confident we'll find the next Paralympic athlete. I would love to see, and I'm confident we will see, beyond myself, another great British athlete at the Paralympic Games, and not just turning up, but making some noise.
Final question then. Is the history graduate ready to become the history maker as far as the Paralympics are concerned?
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to. I've been building my whole career for this, and I've got every right to have belief. I'm willing to step into that arena and put myself on the line and dream big.
Para-Nordic skier Scott Meenagh aiming for his third Paralympics in Milano Cortina in March 2026. Good luck to him and all the GB Snowsport athletes.
This is the fifth and final episode of Season 2 of our special Snow Stories. Make sure you download and follow for many more. This has been a special episode of the podcast with GB Snowsport.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.